there's a tendency when someone is very involved in the community to assume that they've gotten past a lot of the issues that would plague a new convert to Islam. Eduardo, from Brazil, lives in Canada, very involved in IR. What are we doing wrong with our da'wah?
We have to start with love. We cannot think about, hey, I want to guide you because you're misguided, or hey, let me show you what the truth is because you are ignorant, or you're a jahil, or you're this or that. And even, we're talking about conversion and how I became a Muslim, but after becoming a Muslim, there was a lot of Muslims around me that just completely abandoned me when I came to Islam. Only a very few amount of people were there to kind of take me by the hand and explain to me what Islam was. Because very few people are there to just help you. So I think it has to start with sincere love. It's almost as if you have a medicine or a cure, you want to share it for other people to be able to be healed.
Can you talk about something unique that you derive from the faith that can be of benefit to any other young Muslim that's aspiring right now, that sees the mechanics of political success, but not necessarily the religious grounding?
I think one of the things that I realized people would overlook is the amount of time necessary to invest in the spiritual side of yourself, in the introspective, reflective element, and in seeking out people who will be your best critics. For me, it was extremely important to find, whether it was my mom or spiritual mentors in the community who could point out to me my flaws, or who knew me before and could guide me otherwise throughout. And I honestly don't think anything is worth sacrificing your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and certainly some of these paths can do that. And so if it's not about taking those measures before, fortifying yourself, you are building up, you're cultivating an immunity system over years to be able to sustain you just for a couple of months of something like a campaign. You had built up that immunity system for yourself that even your worst moments will still, inshallah, be within a certain guideline. So that's extremely important. And I would say prioritization in the times when we're most busy reflects what our values are. And if we don't make that time to sit down with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make istighfar throughout these times, because there are so many ways that we fall short, then ultimately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't bless that work for us. It's that fundamental connection. So I think it's being deliberate and intentional about finding that time, and then those people who will tell you the hard things, hearing the worst about yourself.
What is the biggest difference in your life that Islam made outside of the realm of faith, pre-Islam Eduardo versus post-Islam Eduardo?
Islam teaches us that the difference between a believer and the difference between a disbeliever is like the difference between the living and the dead. Islam gave me life, and Islam gave me purpose. It gave me the ability to navigate with the world with a sense of confidence as to where I am from, where I am now, and where I'm heading. And that clarity, like what you were saying, Abrar, about being intentional and being deliberate, is so important, because if you don't have a goal, you can't score. It's pure and simple. And Islam allowed me to have the paradigms which brings about the best of myself. I think I would summarize it to that: insight, perspective, and a clear sense of orientation.
Was there ever a time that you thought about going back, a breaking point? What was the most difficult test you faced as a Muslim? Because we know that a lot of people convert, and then unfortunately they don't find the support system, or tragedy comes and they're forced to make a choice and they go back, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that, if you ever had a breaking point or a moment where you thought maybe I didn't make the right choice here?
It did happen where I had a breaking point where I felt that it was very difficult. It was a very heavy burden to carry on my shoulders. What was the hardest was that I didn't have a lot of confident Muslims around me, as I mentioned before. And when you're vulnerable, meaning your friends are judging you, people are pointing the fingers at you, talking behind your back, and you're just in that space where you genuinely feel misunderstood, sometimes you question yourself, right? But I had full certainty that Islam was the truth. But the difficult environments in which I was kind of kept me going back to my old ways. All the resistance that you're facing everywhere, and where people are just looking at you and almost as if people look at you like you're weird. They don't understand you. And we all want to be validated. We all want to be felt. And I was everything but felt. So I had to give up on a lot of my old habits. The struggle was real. It was very difficult. But I'm so grateful that I met some good people that allowed me to make big mistakes and that accepted me with all my imperfection and all the obnoxiousness that came around being someone that had such a bad past, and give me that room to gradually, one step at a time, grow to be where I am today. Alhamdulillah.
A theme of Confident Muslim has been that in every Muslim public figure's life, they face a breaking point, or they face, similar to what Eduardo was talking about, they face a moment where I can compromise on my values or I can stay strong. Usually compromise yields an immediate reward. Commitment means a lot of hardship is going to be in front of you, and your path to success is that much harder. Muslim women in particular, who are disproportionately impacted by Islamophobia, are also disproportionately criticized within the Muslim community, right? We hold our female Muslim leaders and figures to a much higher standard than we do male Muslim leaders and figures. And you're also getting bombarded on the outside, bombarded on the inside. Tell me about that moment for you, or what was that moment where you had to make a choice that you can go back to, and you chose to power through and maintain commitment?
It definitely was not easy within the Muslim community. And alhamdulillah, I even came in with some level of a footing where my family had been serving the community for many years. But even that, I had people, there was a brother, may Allah guide all of us, who came up to me and came up to one of my volunteers and said, you know, if you're not married and you can't run a household, don't think you can run a county. And there were comments like this, and even navigating our spaces, right, and having to give an announcement or engage people, and who the gatekeepers of the community are and who the leadership is, was certainly not without challenge. But I think it was always important to remember the compassionate elements there. That of course I'm upset, and I don't accept that our Muslim community would have things like this and reactions like that, but trying to tap into that deeper sense of compassion and understanding and empathy for where that person was coming from. Because at some point you have to make the decision that the work is bigger than you. I have to care about my circumstance and my reputation to a certain extent and my health and whatnot, because the work is affected by it. When you kind of abstract yourself and realize that it's much larger than you and your personal experience and what's going on to you and what people think of you, but it's about, again, the cause and the broader mission of elevating humanity and addressing injustices, then I think there's a strength that one can derive from that.
Tell me about what role your mom has played and what role your conversion has played in the relationship dynamics between you and your mother.
She basically made the field fertile for the seed of Islam to be able to plant and grow. She's someone that I see as a Muslim, but she hasn't really accepted faith because of the Catholic background and all the negative experience she had with religion. But my mom is something that teaches me Islam as a Muslim. Like, I spend time with her and I see her as a teacher. She'll literally tell me stuff like, one day I was with her and I'm like, Mom, are you happy? And she says, no, I'm not happy, but I'm at peace. Like, okay, can you explain? And she tells me, well, how can you be happy in a world where there's so much suffering? Even you, look at your brothers and sisters that you're trying to help in Gaza, right? And the Syrians and the Yemenis, their suffering is real. How can you be happy in a time like this? You have to be selfish. And she's not trying to be sophisticated when she says this. She says it really from the bottom of her heart. But she says, I'm at peace because I'm doing everything humanly possible for me to be able to make a difference in the world. Even look at yourself as Muslims. You don't say, happiness be upon you. You say, peace be upon you. So peace is the ultimate objective. And I'm like, mashallah, like, I'm learning Islam from you, you know? So.
May Allah bless Mas Ikna, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us all to find certainty in our faith. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.